If a game based on the Tom Cruise Mummy movie from 2016 or whatever, if a game based on that can be good, then any game can be good. I really believe that. And it is good. Check it out. Life is all about surprises, and something that seems like a really bad idea initially can wind up as a great product. Now, with that being said, I bought 2 copies of Fallout 76. Let me explain why. Ever since info about the latest Fallout game was being teased, everybody I know, everybody, was pumped for this new game. We were all defending it. We all wanted to play it. We all said, oh, it's just a beta. People are complaining about it. And why? Why were we defending it like that? Well, I'm from West Virginia. That place that Fallout 76 is set in, that's a real place. But you can't be too sure of that sometimes. Because nothing is set in West Virginia. We have next to nothing. There was a Silent Hill movie that people loved, and there was the Mothman Chronicles, but whoop-de-doo. I mean, I guess Mothman's cool. I like Mothman. For years, I desperately wanted to get out of this state purely because I thought life here was just fundamentally wrong. Some part of me had to be like, oh, I never see any stories here, so I guess there's nothing for me here. I know that sounds dumb, but I was a kid. Growing up, I watched shows like Hey Arnold and The Proud Family, and I saw what city living was like. And there weren't cities like that in West Virginia. There just weren't. Now, as time's passed and I've matured, at least partially, I've come to love this state. I really have. I love things about this state. I love the things that make it unique, and that's why I was excited for Fallout 76. When those first trailers dropped and you could see the New River Gorge and WVU, which is where I went to school, and in the Charleston Capitol building, I was just dumbfounded. It's like something you've never known you wanted, but then it's there, and you gotta have it. Now, there's something about West Virginia that isn't really known to the larger world. You might be able to piece this together if you've read enough, but it's not really something that's immediately obvious. What are things commonly associated with West Virginia, if you know it's even its own state, which some people don't? Well, there's herder funny incest. Haha, dumb redneck. I mean, that has some merit, but there's a higher rate of incest in Kentucky. There's coal mines, but most of those are in Pennsylvania by now. And there's hillbillies. And that one's pretty accurate, honestly. There's also the Mothman. Now there's something interesting. Mothman. There's also the Flatwoods Monster, the Beast of Grafton, Sheep Squatch, a bunch of other cryptids and all that. There's also the Moundsville Penitentiary, there's the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. Creepy places. What does all of that add up to? Horror. This is a horrifying, creepy state. I've had this thought for years now. There's a massive amount of spooky lore and scary places and creepy stuff, and very few on the outside really know about it. Back to Fallout. Fallout deals with a pretty horrifying concept, nuclear devastation and fallout. Yeah, it's in the name. There's also a bunker under the Greenbrier Hotel in West Virginia. And bam, spooky Fallout game with creepy West Virginia lore monsters. Sounds perfect. Sounds like a game that would mean a lot to me and I would spend a lot of time in. But no, it's a piece of shit. I'll cut to the chase. I bought 2 copies so my wife and I could both play. All of my friends were excited about this game. We were all born and raised in West Virginia, and with everything we'd seen in the trailers, our hopes were high. I was actively ignoring all of the bad press the game was getting up until its launch. Oh, it's buggy. Well, no shit, it's a Bethesda game. I'm sure it'll be fixed soon enough. Now, I knew Bethesda had their issues. I'm not some casual who would hold Skyrim up as their favorite game. I put about 400 hours into Skyrim. It was fun. I put significant time into Fallout 3 and 4. I know they're pretty stripped down games, but it's fun to just walk around. The gameplay loop's fun enough, you know. Go out into the world, get resources, bring them back to implement. It's a decent loop. But of course, Fallout 76 couldn't even pull that off. The first night I could play it, me, my wife, and my best friend sat down. We did a couple of the first missions together. And for a while it was fun to see our ridiculous looking avatars and to shoot at giant ticks and all that. Oh, giant ticks. There are ticks all over these woods. That's genius, making ticks an enemy. Oh, we came out of the vault and we're in Flatwoods? We've been to Flatwoods? That's awesome. I can't wait to see the Flatwoods monster. I'm doing a couple missions. It got kind of late in the game. We ran into some other players, but in the early days, they didn't implement PvP. And then my buddy gets stuck in a console. Like, those computers you can interact with, the computer consoles. You can read text entries and all that. He got stuck at the end of a mission. He couldn't get out of it. He was soft locked. He couldn't even pause the game to exit to the title screen. He had to close the game entirely. He lost progress because of that. He had to do that mission over again. And that was on my first night playing it. Now, my good buddy wasn't so thrilled about his experience, so he was understandably reluctant to play again on the second night. So my wife and I played, and my mother was visiting, and she was very interested to see if the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum was in the game. It was a bit of a tourist attraction in the area, and we'd been there multiple times, knew the area quite well. Sure enough, I saw a building on the map that looked a lot like it. And so I made a beeline for it so I could show my mother the location. Along the way, however, I was forced to come to terms with just how terrible this game really was. The lack of real pausing to manage inventory made everything a chore. The camp system was broken, was a mess. I'm sure you've heard all of this before. So now I'm left with 2 copies of this game that has one of the worst reputations I've seen in recent years. And I can't even explore the world properly because the always online, randomly generated enemies make exploring an absolute pain. All I wanted was a decent game set in my home state. Something that could show the gaming community or the world at large that West Virginia had more to offer than country roads, coal, and incest jokes. Maybe Mothman. But no, Bethesda had to make that money in the laziest way imaginable. Now what am I left with to represent my state? Just another game with a terrible reputation. One of the worst reputations. Sure, they might fix it, make it tolerable. These days, travesty like No Man's Sky is even playable. It's redeemed. No Man's Sky is pretty fun now. My wife and I play that instead. But nearly everything people had feared about this game had come to pass. There are loot boxes, essentially. I mean, there's that microtransaction store, all the ridiculous prices on everything in the Atomic Shop. All of this is covered in Internet Historian's legendary video. And you can't really patch all that out at this point. Everyone I knew, everyone who ran in my circles, all of my friends, everyone I talked to that even had a marginal interest in video games was so pumped for this game. At every con and every pop culture event, people were singing Country Roads and selling Fallout 76 t-shirts and license plates. I bought some. We as West Virginians, we all wanted it to be a hit, but we couldn't have that. Bethesda had to squeeze out this turd instead. They didn't even bother to add pepperoni rolls or coonskin hats. That's just pathetic. Hey there. Hope you enjoyed my rant somewhat. I know I'm very late to the party when it comes to Fallout 76, but I had to see something about it. Not a lot of YouTubers from West Virginia, it seems, and it was very different. living here and seeing this thing fall apart the way it did. It broke my heart. This wasn't something I wanted to, like, laugh about or gloat over. I say when Game of Thrones ended on a bit of a sour note, kind of revel in that, because I was never into Game of Thrones, and now I'm justified. But this is different. This is more than just a series you liked. I really wanted to walk around virtual West Virginia in the Fallout universe. Never thought that would ever come to pass. And it did. And it was just passing gas. So, anyway. Hope you check out my other videos. I been making a series called The Real Marvel Universe, where I go over Marvel's history year by year. Might expand upon that in the future. Well, that's all I got. Thanks for checking this out. And if you know someone from West Virginia, maybe tell them it's all right. What happened to Fallout 76? It's not all right. Have a good one. See ya.